Good day to all. Welcome back to the Manny and Shawn Experience podcast. This is episode 86 because I forgot clearly. And today might be an episode you're not going to enjoy too much, or maybe you're here for it and you missed the old Manny and Shawn covering what? Politics. We're giving you the political blitz. Up next.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Hey everybody, and we formed the Manny and Shawn Experience podcast. I thought you were going to jump in there like we used to. Podcast.
Oh, sorry.
Anyways, it's okay. It's okay. We have not been in this studio in a very long time. But
you're being very demure today.
I'm being very demure.
In your voice, you're very
mindful.
Okay.
I'm being very mindful.
Are y'all tired of that yet?
How's everybody doing out there? Are you being demure and very mindful?
Are you over being demure and mindful?
Are you ready to move on and just be ratchet? Anyways, we hope everybody's doing great out there. This month is just running right along Halloween's already up.
Yeah. Some people that started August 31st.
In fairness, I probably would have decorated. Well, no, not yet. But we're leaving soon on a trip, so, the risk of a storm coming while we're not here and taking our shit down would be pretty big.
Sad times. We love decorating.
But yeah, here we are once again. So today, like we said, the political blitz. But how are you? Are we mentally prepared to handle?
I'm mentally prepared because I know it's going to be a good time.
It's going
I had a great time during this thing that we're about to talk about. The debate.
We're not here for a long time, but we're here for a good time.
But I had a great time, so yeah, I'm mentally prepared.
Awesome. Same as me. Well, do you want to jump into the mixtape?
No, how are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm here, ready to record.
All right, let's go.
You're fine? You're good?
I'm good.
Anything you want to share with the population?
Okay, I've been hiding something from y'all.
Oh,
I'm so sorry. Oh. I'm just kidding. Let's go.
He's being mindful.
You're in the mix.
All right, so here we are in the mixtape, and yes, it is all political, but you know how we like to deliver politics here.
We like to do it in a very fun way.
And as one person once told me, you're a little urban, so maybe a little urban too,
A little urban way.
Shout out to the person. Shout out to the person who called me urban. Thank you so much. It did not scar me for the rest of my life. But yeah, so we're just going to take pieces of the debate that we thought were funny, I guess.
We're going to be funny, but we're also going to try to be educational and informational. Yeah. Yes, that is the word. Because that's what we do here.
Yeah. So the first thing we noticed when the debate started.
The walk?
The walk, like.
Kamala Harris. Let's have a good debate.
Nice to see you. Have fun.
Thank you.
Miss Harris, I'm going to call Madam Vice President Harris. I like to give people their official titles. She came out like she was, I'm here, bitch. I'm here, and I'm ready to roll your ass. Of course, she's a former stepper, so that could be it too. She was like, she just came.
At the time of recording this, there have been a couple of podcasts that I have listened to about this debate as well. But one thing that people are in consensus with, that's the word, I think.
Are in consensus.
It's a tough one.
Good job, man. You're trying to correct somebody, and you can't even say it yourself. Consensus.
Is that it gave stage presence.
Yeah. It gave stage presence, and she knew exactly what she was doing.
Of course.
We can show this TikTok if we would like.
She set the tone when she walked out, shook his hand, and introduced herself by name, which I thought was very, very interesting.
This gentleman is explaining kind of what we're talking about. It's just She came out with confidence. She came out with poise. She came out and said, "You will not run over me tonight."
No.
And she was going to make a point of introducing herself because it looked like he was that man on the other side. It looked like he was just ready to plant down onto his podium like he likes to do, hold it from right to left for whatever reason. But she was like, "No, sir, I'm going to come over here and introduce you." And she said, "What?" She introduced her motherfucking self.
Let's have a good debate.
Like, bitch, in case you don't know who I is, she let him know.
She did. Because he wasn't even going towards her.
No, he was going right for the podium. Like, usually they meet in front of podiums.
In the middle, yeah.
And you can tell that's where she was headed. And as soon as she saw he was beelining, she's like, "Nah, bitch." Shoop. She made a sudden exit to the right and met him at his podium.
That was a great power move.
It's a wonderful, power move. And if anything, if anybody has any questions, that she can walk into a room and command attention or the dominance of the people that she needs to,
yeah,
she will do it.
And
she has
presidential.
And lest we not forget, Miss Harris is a former prosecutor. And I'm just going to leave that there.
Okay.
I mean, prosecutors got to come in. You got to prove your point.
Yeah, and she proved it well.
That did, bitch.
Next, we're going to talk about.
I really had here on my list because I thought it was hilarious. And maybe it's too soon to talk about this, but why not? It's funny. As soon as Miss Harris just threw a little piece of meat, as I'm calling it, bait. As soon as we threw just a little piece, like she didn't even have to go that far. She threw a little piece of meat and he took that bait like a great white shark in the ocean. And he was just, and I think she was even surprised at what came after that. Let's go ahead and run this video now.
Actually do something really unusual, and I'm going to invite you to attend one of Donald Trump's rallies because it's a really interesting thing to watch. You will see during the course of his rallies, he talks about fictional characters like Hannibal Lecter. He will talk about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early out of exhaustion and boredom.
She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics.
So that was like her initial bait in this debate.
Yes. I also like how she prefaced this by saying that you're going to hear a bunch of lies from this man tonight.
She did also say that.
But yes, every time she baited him, he just took it and he fell for every single trap she laid out for him.
And nothing baits Donald J. Trump more than talking about his crowd sizes. Like, it's not your penis size, bro. We're talking about crowd sizes in an arena. And I think she was surprised. Like, when she put her little hand on her chin, I think she was like, wow, I'm shocked and amazed of how deep this got so quick.
But that's where you hit this man in his feelings. If you know anything about Donald Trump since the first time that he became president and they had the opening, whatever the fuck, for him, all he talked about was the crowd size, how it was bigger than Obama's and how you could not see the people because there were so many people there.
Yeah.
And in all actuality, when you compare the two photos, they're nothing alike.
And at the end of the day, who gives a hell about the crowd size? It's like crowd sizes doesn't equate votes, doesn't equate winning. At least to me, that doesn't equate like anything to me. Like, but he gets so sensitive about that.
He just wants to be liked. He wants to be loved. And the more people that are there,
don't be an asshole.
But the more people that are there, he thinks that's how many people love me.
Going back to what you said, that clip didn't show that, but she did open up and said, what you're going to hear from this man is...
This fella, she said.
Is lies. And she used that also throughout the debate to refer back to when he said lies. She would go back and say, like I said at the beginning of the debate, what you were going to hear about is XYZ, XYZ. So I thought it was a great setup for her throughout the debate to be able to refer back. Like, she set the tone. Like, he was always
on the defense.
While she was on offense the whole time.
Yeah.
I think he missed some points, which we'll get to, that he probably could have threw her into defense, but he just could not get out of his head because debate was still like messing up his
it was a great strategy on her part and her team's part.
I agree 100%. Another thing we noticed as we were watching the debate is his lack of respect for her in general. And we already knew that, right? What is he calling her at rallies?
Whatever he wants. He'll say Kamala sometimes, Kamala other times, and he just switches back and forth. Or he'll call her a nasty person, or just the same old tired shit he always says.
She's really a nasty person. But what I loved about her was she didn't care whether he was looking or not. She always gave him the eyes. She looked at him and she was trying to acknowledge, conversate, but he would not have it. He was holding on to that podium like he had explosive diarrhea. He was holding on to that podium like it came so fast, and he's just sitting on this throne, his gold throne, with massive diarrhea.
The gag for me was that the camera angles would oftentimes have them on screen, split screen. Mm-hmm. So whenever she was talking, they would show him, and when he was talking, they would show her. The difference is he never really looked at her.
No.
He would always face forward, or when she would say something, he'd make a screw face. But that was about it. He would never look at her or address her. Besides that one time when he tried to make the same joke as she did, and it didn't land.
It didn't land.
It was not demure.
And it was not very mindful.
It was not.
Other things we noticed beyond the eye contact and not like acknowledging her was, and we thought this was kind of funny, and I don't think anybody really caught it, is as much as Republicans or a certain tone of Republicans and maybe even some Democrats don't believe in pronouns, he refused to say her name for the most part and addressed her like in pronoun sense.
I feel like he was just scared he was going to mess it up. And he didn't want to mess it up on national TV. He'll mess it up at a rally, but he didn't want to fuck it up in the debate.
Sir, you were using pronouns. I'm just saying.
I mean, he had more things to worry about than messing up her name. As this fucking debate went on. But, yeah. So, this led to the craziest thing I have ever heard. Like, when we were watching, I think I had turned away from the TV.
It's important to say we're not in chronological order of the debate. We're
just picking out kind of highlights.
Yeah.
When I heard him say this from this next clip, I had to turn around and look at the TV because I was in disbelief. Did he really just say what I think he said? And then he doubled down on it.
He got really upset about it.
Roll the tape.
Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is what's happening in our country, and it's a shame.
You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
You talk about extreme.
Ladies and gentlemen, you heard that correctly.
In
the dogs.
Springfield, they are eating
the dogs.
The dogs.
The cats.
Eating the cats.
The pets.
The dogs.
He really loves the word the.
He loves to pronounce words.
The blacks.
With
the Latinos.
So much oomph to them that don't matter. The words that don't matter.
So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, they, them, all the pronouns.
Hide your pets, hide your kids.
If you did not watch, I'm sure you haven't missed this on social media. Somebody has to have shared it. And it was such a moment in the debate where we're like, how the fuck did we get here?
That wasn't even the question. I forgot what the question was.
I forgot what the question was too. That led to him talking about, I think it was on immigration. because they're talking about Haitian immigrants. The Haitian immigrants in Springfield, Ohio, are eating the dogs, the pets, the cats.
Her face during this entire debate, there are so many memes. There are so many different, if I send you this, that means you telling lies. there's so many of those out there because she gave great face, had a nice beat. But like when he said that, she just was like,
she clutched her pearls. I don't even think she had on, but she's like, the fuck. And I think most of America, I would say most Republicans and maybe even some Trump supporters. I actually saw one of a Trump supporter who was just very confused. She said she grabbed her phone and Googled it. And that I was shocked by that alone, that she was actually Googling something. And she said that she actually found it not to be factual. And I was like, wow, this one shook y'all too. Like, not the dogs. They're eating the dogs.
Now, apparently this story originated from J.D. Vance, which...
because he's a senator from Ohio.
Yeah. But the fact that the moderators were fact-checking him in real time was amazing to me.
And what's funny to me is that the moderators checked with I forgot the position.
Whatever state something.
In Springfield. And they had that knowledge already that it's like they almost knew like this dumbass is going to bring up.
I had heard nothing about it. I hadn't either. Until the debate.
I did watch a brief, anything else on that clip beyond like just pure insanity that American politics has spewed out eating the dogs and the cats on a national debate stage. Like, wild to me.
That is the highlight of that particular segment. But there was a second highlight to that when after the moderator corrected him, he said, but I saw it on TV. The man said it on TV, which the moderator came back, was like, I'm not getting my source from the TV. I'm getting it directly from whoever the state official was, and they're not doing that.
I think he's a city planning manager.
Yes. And he was like, they're not doing that. But the man said it on the TV.
And that should let you know so much. That should let you know so much that he watches. We know that he sits there and his previous cabinet members have spoken that he would sit and watch multiple channels of news TV just looking for shit. And, eating dogs and cats came on, and apparently that was something.
If you see it on the TV, it has to be true. If you see it
on the TV, it is true. Hashtag fake news.
This is the man y'all want for president.
One thing on that was I did watch a story afterwards that went to Springfield to talk to some Haitian immigrants.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of them are now in fear of being there. This was advertised as a place of opportunity for these immigrants to find job and work. Now they feel like they are highlighted and the community is being negative towards them.
Of course.
And they don't think they can stay here anymore working. Now, I don't know. I believe they are legally in this country. Even though they are Haitian immigrants, they are legally in this country because of what's happening in Haiti.
Right.
So we're not talking about people who jumped the border here. We're talking about people who were granted admissibility into our country and are actually looking to work. They also interviewed somebody who employs some of these people. And he said they are some of the hardest working people he has ever seen. He says they come in, they get to their station, they do their job. And I'm paraphrasing here, he alluded to saying that's not what you normally get from a traditional worker.
Right.
So we're talking about people who are, one, allowed in the country, two, actively working, contributing to the society of Springfield.
And now you could possibly have people who are MAGA, because MAGA, who would probably go harass these people and, make them feel like they're no longer welcome in Springfield. Right. Yeah. Crazy.
It was a sad story. And, one of the anchors, she kind of disputed with the other person because it was a whole panel and they were like, you know what, the word that's missing here is racism.
I mean,
it's a form of racism because whether they are immigrants or black or considered black, the blacks. No, let me not do that. It is a form of racism that is being, and specifically outlining a certain demographic of people that are there actually fucking working. Anyways, that debate continues. The next clip, as if dogs wasn't something that made your head fall off your body, the next one surely should have sent you running through the streets and wondering what in God's creation is happening to America.
And wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis, she went out and raised money to get them out of jail. She did things that nobody would ever think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal that would do this. She wants to confiscate your guns, and she will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania. And wanted to...
So we just went all over the place in that clip.
Yeah, I think the question was on immigration, and maybe I think it was specifically geared towards her work as a prosecutor.
So we went from releasing criminals, not prosecuting them,
paying for them, to illegal aliens having transgender surgery forced upon them. Yep. So you come into this country illegally and you get a
transgender surgery. And then we moved, we went to fracking. And then we would jump from fracking to she's going to take your guns. I'm just like, what was the question?
We'll be just dissecting some of those other points, but the biggest point here was the transgender
aliens.
Like, the amount of time conservatives spend on talking about transgender people is really wild to me, because a transgender person is no different than the rest of us. Like, no different. They are humans. They are people. And then we sit here and we worry so much about them in a negative tone. Like, but now we're throwing shit that transgender people are out here evil to the world. And then it's kind of like drag queens. We use transgender into anything. So now it's like we're giving out free transgender operations, apparently, when you cross the border, or we force you to do it. What's the point of forcing you to do it?
I think he just had a brain melt, and he was like, I'm just going to throw out
every word
that I know that MAGA hates. And those are transgender, illegal aliens, taking your guns, fracking. And we're just going to wrap it all up in a pretty little bow. Oh, and crime, because, she let them go.
Listen, if you're not self-aware of what it takes to transition, it doesn't happen overnight. It is very expensive, and I doubt the United States government would be doing that for fun in a camp of, I don't know what the fuck they call them, where they hold people who cross the border illegally. Like, I
don't understand how we got
Is the option like, hi, do you want admissibility into this country? You need to do this transgender surgery.
No one's forcing transgender surgeries on anyone.
And that's one of their talking points on the conservative side, that the liberals are forcing transgender onto us. And honestly, nobody is forcing it. We're just ensuring that they have the same rights and protections as anybody else, and that they can live authentically the gender that they are.
Excuse me, sir. That is what we mean by forcing. You simply existing and trying to live a normal life within my society and within my eyes is forcing it on me. That is what they mean.
Okay, so I can reverse that argument and say, I don't like when I have to go to a restaurant and I see two heterosexual people grabbing ass, kissing, sometimes going a little too far out in front of us while we're waiting 15 minutes to get my table.
Excuse me, sir. Mm-hmm. that is normal, and that's
It
what
is not normal.
That is what we do.
It's not normal.
In America.
No.
It is normal.
You take that shit home. And that is a prime example of the stupidity that is today's country. So those were like probably the two. Nope. I thought those were the two crazy. And then I just saw my next note here, and I was like, nope, it got worse.
I feel like at this point in the debate, I feel like maybe the commercial was coming, and you was like, "It's only been an hour," and I was like, "Yeah."
I was exhausted.
Yes,
I was so incredibly exhausted, and this is why we've kind of not been too heavy on politics lately, because it's a lot to keep in your brain and try to talk about every week. So, to recap, we have talked about eating dogs, cats, and pets. We have talked about people that are crossing the border, being forced to have a transgender surgery. Mm-hmm. And in the next topic of conversation, the question surrounded abortion. Shall we play the clip?
Play the clip. Roll tape.
Therefore, why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before. He said the baby will be born and we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote.
There's no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice.
So, to recap, we have talked about it just got crazier. First of all, his whole rant on abortion made absolutely no sense. He did ravel or feel privileged because he got to overturn Roe versus Wade, even though it was really the Supreme Court. But we know he placed the Supreme Court there to assist him and said things. The piece of that is this misconception that liberals or anybody on the left wants babies being murdered. I don't think people understand what abortion is, why abortions are done. Also, we're not executing babies after they're born. That's called murder.
I think the thing that a lot of Americans learned was after Roe v. Wade was dismantled, shut down, whatever you want to call it, and other states started to actually pass abortion laws, was that women's health care in need was simply tied into abortion as well. Mm-hmm. There have been plenty of women since Roe v. Wade was demolished who have had ectopic pregnancies, or pregnancies where the fetus wasn't viable and they still had to carry the baby to term because they can't get an abortion. And we don't talk about the mental trauma, the physical trauma that we put on families, because y'all care so much about families. But all of this pain that you put on people because you want to prevent someone from making a choice about their body. He simply just does not get it. And yes, you got Roe v. Wade overturned. Woo 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 for you. There's always been a debate about pro-life versus pro-choice. There's always going to be a debate about it. The one thing I don't think anybody was debating about is it should be that woman's choice.
Yeah.
You should have nothing to do with the government. It should have nothing to do with some 70-year-old white man telling me that I can't have an abortion if I need one to save my life or, you know, just to get general care that I would need. And you also put doctors and nurses at risk of being persecuted for performing such tasks, which should just be a normal routine thing. It's stupid. And I'm glad that the moderator told him point blank, and this was a highlight for me, that there is nowhere in the United States where it is legal to kill a child after birth. Nowhere. And then she turned her head and asked the question.
It's Madam Vice President. She's like, I'm done with this bitch over here. It's just, listen, abortion, whether you agree with it or don't agree with it, it goes back to many of the other things we talk about here on the podcast. Transgender, gay, like it doesn't affect you. You can have a religious belief that abortion is wrong. That's 100% in your prerogative. But you do not have a right to prevent other people from receiving that care if they so choose to. Because why? It is their body. Just like y'all screamed at us when we said put on a mask. You said my body, my choice. So why in the hell do we have to comply that we took mask mandates away and continued spreading COVID on a high rate during its peak? But when it comes to a woman's right to her own body, we feel that we have to say
that you know best. It's so stupid.
And I would just use Ohio as an example where Republicans thought the Ohio abortion bans would have passed, and it didn't. Or rejecting the, I can't remember the specifics, this was a while back. But if that didn't show you how abortion is an issue that is beyond the left, it is an issue that affects right and left. And I feel like people on the right should understand that if you're still voting that direction, you're directly affecting something you believe in.
Just over it. Over it.
Abortion is your right. It is not my right to tell you what to do.
No.
Period. Amen.
Then we went to everyone's favorite Trump topic. January 6th.
January 6th. What happened on that
Now,
day?
listen.
In 2021?
Some people didn't like the moderators. I was fine with them. He has a different opinion of them, and that's fine. Also, a lot of Republican Trump supporters also had issues with the moderators.
Well, when you're losing, of course. When you lose the debate. Of course, everybody has that. My problem with the moderators was I think they gave him too much time. Like, the whole point of muting a microphone is for you to mute the fuck out of them. And the fact that they would consistently give him 1 minute. I'm like, if I was tracking like a football game, I'd look to see who held the ball more. I feel like Trump held the ball more. Now, he used that time to just ramble stupid shit, which made him look even crazier.
Which is why I think they gave him the time.
Which is fine. But I just feel like this was Ms. Harris's opportunity to reach more people on policy. And a lot of the questions weren't policy driven. They were situational things that have happened. And I feel like this should have been a point where she would have been able to inject policy, which I feel that she did, in questions that were maybe not specifically what they were asking, but she saw that I need to get my policy out. I need to be able to. So that was my problem with the moderators. It's just a little too much time. And then the questions were just a little questionable to me.
I get that. A debate isn't what it used to be. It is not something that you do in high school gymnasiums and have a debate team. That's not what the presidential debates have become. And though they do ask policy questions, most of the time the candidates just talk about whatever the fuck they want to talk about anyway. Right. So I do applaud Kamala for getting her policies in there and all the things that she plans to do. And also, while doing so, saying that this man doesn't have any type of plan for you, which he doesn't, which I don't think is one of the things we put on here. But when they asked him about healthcare and Obamacare, this man says he doesn't have a plan. He has a concept of a plan. Which
he didn't say he doesn't. He said, I have a concept of a plan.
That's not a plan.
And it's just like, well, you were in office for 4 years. How did y'all not work on one?
The Republicans have been saying that they have a healthcare plan since Obamacare came out. They said, it's been 9 years.
9 years.
And you have a concept of a health plan? Move around.
Anyways, back to everyone's favorite day in American history. January 6th. Where we still apparently don't know if Trump understands what happened.
You would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out at the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval Office. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message.
At an election that was stolen from us.
Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day?
You just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically, I said during my speech, not later on. Peacefully and patriotically. You'll never take back our country with weakness. You have to show strength and you have to be strong. And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace. But we didn't do this group of people that have been treated so badly. I ask, what about all the people that are pouring into our country?
Get anymore, this is our country!
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day? Yes, sir.
I had nothing to do with that other than they asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech. I said, I think it's going to be big. I went to Nancy Pelosi. And the mayor of Washington, D.C. And the mayor put it back in writing.
So 4 years later, almost, we still have that January 6th was not instigated by 45. It was just random people.
It was Nancy Pelosi.
It was Nancy Pelosi.
She didn't have enough security.
And the mayor of Washington, D.C. Let me tell you something. Let's break this down to a more common sense approach. If anybody goes to somebody's house and starts beating in their door, what do? What are you allowed to do in our country?
You're allowed to shoot them if they break into your house. Not through the door, like that one lady did, because she went to jail.
She went to jail. So my thing is, these officers are protecting the Capitol.
Yes.
Their job is to protect the Capitol.
Which is a federal building, which is completely different than your own domain.
Yeah, we're talking about federal building, y'all. Massive amount of people up the stairs of the Capitol, breaking windows, breaking doors, throwing stuff.
Being in people's offices.
To get in. The lady that was killed, she was killed because she was told by an officer to stop multiple times.
We saw that video.
And if you haven't seen it, go see it. She was warned. She was given more breaks than she probably deserved. Sorry to say that.
The real sad part is that she died for nothing because she died listening to and believing Donald Trump.
Correct.
That the election was stolen and that you have to fight to take back your country is the words that you used. Not Nancy Pelosi and not the mayor of Washington, D.C.
Words used.
You used them.
You used them. You encouraged this mob to go down to the Capitol and break into the Capitol. And that's why that lady was shot.
Mm-hmm.
It's sad that she got shot, but you should have complied. As a party of law and order, you were given a exact command to stop, and you didn't.
That was shot. Other piece where he said she was shot by an out-of-control police officer.
Out of control police officer.
But we love the police. We love the military. We love them all. But this one was out of order.
Now, I thought a police officer did die. Because he said
one did.
Okay.
It may have been more than one, actually.
Because he said nobody on the other side died.
That's a lie.
So it's a little...
I mean, he told a bunch of
lies. Law enforcement. The Capitol Police released a day after A Capitol Police release the day after the riots said that USCP officer Brian passed away due to injuries sustained while on duty.
So it's just one.
He was injured while physically engaging with protesters. This is the guy that was beaten by them.
Somebody was trampled, though, no?
Listen,
either way,
it's hard for me to
January 6th was horrible. Trump instigated the shit out of it, and he waited hours before he was forced to send a tweet to tell them people to go the fuck home. I know this because I watched the January 6th trials like it was fucking Law and Order because it was very entertaining. Shout out to Liz Cheney. But you caused this. All of that was your doing. You said you were just invited there to speak. But what you did, they knew that was a lie too because you sent a tweet earlier saying to be there is going to be
wild.
Yeah. Girl, sit down.
Quote, wild.
This moment also for Ms. Harris was also very great because she said that Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. Yeah. And he's having a very hard time of processing that.
Yeah.
Bars.
And she was also like, I was there. I was a senator. I was vice president-elect and a senator. January 6th happened, and it happened because of him. And nobody will change my mind about that.
I mean,
the rhetoric, the empowerment of filled these people. And we know this this has happened before. They talked about what was that incident? Was it North Carolina or South Carolina?
Oh, she talked about the tiki torches?
Yes.
Yeah.
Which she also tried to debunk. Like, you speak. This is just normal history. You, as a leader of a party, you indoctrinate people with words, and then these people go and act on your behalf.
She bought an order. The Proud Boys, you told them to stand back and stay ready or something like that. All of it.
Now, the pause. Did everybody see the pause in the show? Not a show. I guess it's a debate. I guess it was a show.
There's so many.
There are
so many TikToks.
So many TikToks.
So many memes.
But here is the pause we're talking about.
Diplomacy, where we invite and receive respected world leaders. And this former president, as president, invited them to Camp David because he does not, again, appreciate the role.
Miss Harris, let me go ahead and fill that in. This motherfucker over here. That's what she meant to say.
I mean, it's her favorite curse word. She said it herself. Well, she didn't say it in that video, but she said it starts with an M and ends with a F.
There's so many memes about what she would have, or what was going through her head.
I feel like everybody at home knew.
We filled it in. We filled it in. We said, that motherfucker. We're like, oh, shit. Good thing it didn't slip.
I feel like that was genuine. I feel like she actually had to catch herself.
That was genuine. That was, Kamala. Oops, I almost messed up her name. That was Miss Harris. That was Miss Harris saying, her chill back vibes when she's with her soror girls and they kicking back with a little drink. Where she's like, that motherfucker. It like rushed up her brain and she was like, ooh, hold
when you might be at work or at the grocery store or wherever, and what you want to say, but you catch yourself because you don't either want no problems or you've had enough problems.
Yeah, like you're in a meeting at work and you're like, this stupid bitch.
But you got to catch yourself.
And then you're like, oh, shit, I'm on mute at least.
So she was on live TV. She was like,
she had it.
Can't.
She said, Jesus, take the wheel.
What is the word?
She said, hallelujah. And then she's like, former president.
What a moment.
What a moment.
This whole debate was full of moments.
Now, some things we wanted to dispel as quickly as possible, were some of the lies that were brought up during this debate. And they were many. I think it was counted that there were 33
plus.
33 plus for Donald
President
Trump. And then 1 for Ms. Harris.
Yes.
You do the math on that. But some of the things I wanted to talk about is specifically they focused on immigration and violent crime.
Oh, yes. So migrant crime is up apparently under the Biden and Harris administration. But the truth is,
it's down. It's down. And I can play a little clip if you would like that literally says violent crimes by undocumented immigrants is at the lowest percentage compared to legal, natural born U.S. citizens. And second after that would be documented immigrants. And at the very bottom were undocumented immigrants. And I want to play that little clip for you because you deserve to see it and not say that I'm fucking lying to you.
President, the other guy would like us all to think is that all this violent crime, however much there is being committed by immigrants. And we've talked about this before also, and it doesn't seem to have penetrated either. But the fact is that when you look at who commits violent crimes, it is disproportionately native-born Americans, not immigrants. So this is the rate of crime produced by native-born Americans. This is by legal immigrants, and this is by undocumented immigrants. And if you look at property crime, if you look at drug violations, you're going to find the same thing. And it's not that crazy to think about. If you come here and you're an undocumented immigrant, you don't want to be sent back. So you are much more likely to be a law-abiding citizen. And documented immigrants are very happy to be here. They don't want to commit crimes. And so the high crime rates are really among native-born Americans, and they've been going down. And this is utterly contrary to what Donald Trump said.
Another thing that was also covered in this particular video that is also a lie that was talked about on national TV was tariffs. And, you know, if we're all novice here to economics and how American government works. Because why? It's not taught that well in school.
But Google is your best friend.
Google is your best friend.
Or now, Gemini, whichever one.
A lot of people want to talk about Donald Trump's taxes and how they passed a great tax plan when he was president. The truth of the matter is that plan was an expiring plan. It was a plan that lowered your taxes within the first 2 years with the incremental increase for the lower earners.
Don't nobody care about that part.
Can I say that again? Lower earners. So middle class Americans. In addition to that, they started doing tariffs to goods. And the video that you just saw, or will watch, depending where we decide to put it in, literally talks about what the tariffs did, as an example, to the price of a washing machine. Mm-hmm. And where you saw in that chart, the washing machine went up $200 per whatever that metric was. I think it was per unit, because of the tariffs that Donald Trump put on goods that were being imported.
Yeah.
Okay?
It costs money. Tariffs cost money.
Tariffs may sound better to you than taxes because we have all grown up to know that taxes are evil. But in reality, taxes and tariffs are the same fucking shit. Just differently applied, obviously, within the world of economics.
Yes.
What I mean is all the same different shit is we're going to end up paying more because of it.
Right. The trick of Trump economics is basically to make you feel good in the moment. But later on down the road, you're going to pay for it. It's kind of like having sex with someone unprotected and they have STD. It feels great. And then, maybe 6 months to, 4 years later, oh no, I'm burning and itching. Well, you were burning and itching under Biden and Harris because Trump's tax cut had essentially run its course at that point. So you were paying more. And who do you blame? Biden. Because why? Well, he's the president. That's not how this shit works. And I wish more people understood how government works. We say that all the time on here, I know. But tariffs are not great for you.
No. And one of the things in that clip, as you saw, the tariff increased the price of the unit even beyond inflation, even beyond the level of inflation.
Yeah.
So that goes to tell you that the talk of overinflation is really somewhat exacerbated or exaggerated by conservatives. Yes, there is truth to there is inflation in our country. Yes.
Yeah.
COVID created supply-demand issues that push that. The truth of the matter is that it has leveled off. The crash of our economy that was expected never happened. So the thought that the economy is worse now than it was when he was president is really not true. And to the point of that video is you saw the price of the washing machine went down on average $75. Of course, it did not recover the full monies that was spent from that particular, what am I trying to say? It didn't recover from the tariffs of $200.
Right.
It just went down $75. But that's because when Biden got into office, he took out the tariffs. And the truth of the matter is, as well, companies will never meet us in the middle. They will never lower prices back to what they were. If not, eggs would still be like, what, 75 cents? Like, the fact of the matter is things go up over time. Things like inflation increase prices. Companies know people become comfortable paying those prices.
And then they just stay there.
And then they stay there. It's good to see, as a washing machine. Not everybody's buying a washing machine every day, but it's an example of the lies that he put on that tariffs are better for our country. And considering we import a lot of things,
right,
that would be felt. It doesn't matter whether you're Republican, independent, you don't vote, you're going to feel it.
And the thing about it is the reason why he can get away with these things is because the base that he is speaking to will never do their research to figure out whether what he's saying is a good thing for the economy or not. They just take him at his word. And I know that not all Republicans are like that. And there are smart people out here who are doing the research. But a majority of his base, the ones that show up at the rallies, most of them are lower income people, and they believe that a Trump economic landscape will be better for them, or actually probably just hurting themselves. But people always vote against their best interest most of the time, which is just sad. Yeah. And sad in the case that Donald Trump knows that he's taking advantage of these people for their votes and their loyalty, which he loves and craves, and they give it to him, no matter what he does or says. So he will continue to fleece them and drain you for all you're worth and ride off into the sunset, and you'll be standing there with an NFT card and a Bible with his name on it. But
get your 12 pack available now. My closing remarks for this episode on this debate is that Trump is as crazy as we thought. Mm-hmm. He has no plans besides fulfilling or helping the people who are at the top, who also lie to us and say that if they get tax breaks, they'll create more good-paying jobs, which never in our history has ever become a reality. So as you sit down to think about who you're going to vote for this year, I'm not going to tell you who to vote for. That's freedom, right? You get to vote who you want. Just like a woman who wants an abortion, get an abortion, or should, because that's her freedom. Or somebody who identifies differently and decides to go through surgery to become transgender. Freedom. They should be allowed to do that because that's them. So you have the freedom to vote, but really sit down and think about what transpired at this debate, what continues to transpire, and the fact that he has no plan and really, ultimately, will only take care of the people at the top. We didn't even get into the Israel-Palestine debate.
This debate wasn't for those who are already on Team Blue or Team Red. If you were riding for Trump, you know he did a shit job. Because a lot of you have said it, and I appreciate you for being honest. And there are some out there who are still claiming he won, just like he is. I don't know why. He was asked to do a second debate by the Harris team, which he declined.
I feel like that was bait.
I mean, yeah, because she was like, "Do you want to go again? You want to do this again?" Because it was fun for me. If there are any independents or undecided voters out there, I don't know how you could watch that debate and still vote for someone who is claiming that people are eating pets or that they are forcing illegal immigrants to get transgender surgeries. But hey,
or that we're murdering babies once they're born.
Yeah, girl, I just don't see how you could trust this man to be president again. I just don't. After everything that he's done, after all the lies that he has told and proven that these are lies, I don't see how you still be like, I still might vote for him. I just don't get it. I don't get it. I don't get it at all.
The only thing I guess I can get is that you really want that tax break. And you're in that level that tax break. And I know a large population that votes for him is not in the tax break. They're in the tax break right now that you're feeling the increase of what he passed when he was president.
Exactly. But, the race is still close. There is no clear winner. It is still a very tight race. I think at the debate, Kamala probably went up a couple of points, I think. But it's still very, very close. After the debate, Taylor Swift did endorse Harris, which I thought was funny just because she poked fun at J.D. Vance. Because there was a photo shoot with her cat and she signed it Crazy Cat Lady. And it also kind of just went along with the debate. And she was like, holding on and protecting her cat from being eaten. It was all very comical to me. But, Taylor speaks to Gen Z and a lot of them are at the age where they can vote now. And that is very influential. I'm not saying people will vote for the Dems because of Taylor, but it's good that we have someone of her stature with her political sway, as much as people are like, why do people listen to Taylor Swift? To do that and endorse her. And hopefully that helps us in the long run. Because I don't want Trump to be president.
Well, Trump got Patrick Mahomes' wife now.
She liked to post on Instagram, which, yeah, I guess that's support. Cool, but...
He's reveling in the fact that she's voting for him. But I'm like, I don't think she said that. I mean, she liked her post. I get it.
Yeah. It's like when you're a fan and your favorite rapper or artist likes one of your tweets. Yeah. And you're just like...
You're like, oh, shit. There was a time J-Lo hearted one of my things on Twitter, and I was like, oh shit, I know J-Lo. What? I don't fucking know J-Lo, and she doesn't know me. And do you think she gives 3 shits about me? Absolutely not. So we don't know if Patrick Mahomes' wife is actually a Trump supporter, just like what she saw. Sometimes people are just scrolling through Twitter aimlessly and just clicking likes on everything. Maybe she had a oh shit moment where she was like, oh shit, I put a heart on that. I shouldn't have done that. I've done that on Facebook before. I'm like, I didn't want to say check mark or thumbs up to that. Let me take that shit off. I don't know. Anyways, thank you for joining us for episode 86, the political blitz. I know it was a lot of politics today, but don't worry. Next week, episode 87, or next time, I don't know, whatever. Whenever the next episode comes out, we changed it. Go look at our Instagram for dates. That one will be London Calling. We're going to answer your questions about our trip to London. We're also going to tell you about some of the great things we did out there and a new airlines that we tried called Norse Atlantic Airways. My tongue always gets in the way with the aligners.
All right, y'all. Thank you so much for joining us. You know where to find us at MASXP23. Check that Instagram if you want to send us questions. And as we always say here, do something good for yourself.
And then do something good for somebody else.
Bye.
Make sure you take care of those dogs, cats, or, and I quote, the pets.
Had your dogs, had your cats.
Oh my God, I saw a meme of that. They used the guy that.
Of course. Yeah.
Anyways, right. Bye-bye, everybody. Take care. Have a beautiful week.
I keep thinking about that debate. And the thing that stayed with me is how she was able to call him a motherfucker without calling him a motherfucker. That was genius. With just a look. Yeah, and we all heard it. When she said...
And this former president...
We all heard it. We all heard her call him a motherfucker without calling him a motherfucker. This is genius.